Hi algebra students, this is our last installment for chapter 7. It is chapter 7.6 Fractional Exponents. I hope you have your notes ready, and as usual, you always can pause the video whenever you feel like it. Here we go. Here's the objective. Evaluate and simplify expressions containing fractional exponents. And the only new word that we are going to learn today is index, and we will see what it means right away. All right. Recall that the radical symbol that you see is used to indicate roots. The index, the new word that we just learned, is a small number to the left of the radical symbol that tells which root to take. 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Here's an example. You can see the square root now. We call that square root, but it's actually the radical sign. And right there sitting in front of it is a. That is the index. That's what we call the index. It tells you what root you are going to use. Okay? For example, you can see the radical sign in front of it is 3. Now that 3 represents the cube root. Cube means 3. Since, for example, 2 cubed is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. Therefore, I would say the cube root of 8 is 2. Okay, here we go. See that example? Understood? Another way to write the nth root is by using fractional exponent. For example, if b is greater than 1, suppose that the square root of b is equal to b raised to k. What's k? I don't know. It's just an exponent. So here I make them equal to each other, right? So in order for me to solve this, right, I have to square both sides of the equation. So far so good? Now, if I square the square root of a number, I get the radicand inside the b itself. And the other one, watch it carefully now. Now, that means b is raised now to 1. You may not need to write the 1, but it's okay. Then that's equal to 2k. Now, if b is equal to b, then 1 should equal to 2k. That's what it says right now. So if I divide both of them by 2 to get k, that means k was 1/2. That makes sense? If it doesn't, remember, you can always shoot me an email or ask me in class, okay? So for all b is greater than 1, the square root of b can also be written as a fractional exponent, which is half. Okay. Just remember, you can copy this in your notes. Now let's look at the definition of 1 over n as the exponent of b. Okay? This is what it means. A number raised to a power of 1n is equal to the nth root of that number. Now that may not make sense to you right now, but just be careful. Just watch. How does this look when we put them in numbers? So now the 1/nth is becoming 1/2, and then it became 1/4, and it became 1/7. So how do I write this? It is now in a fractional exponent. How do I write in radical form? It'll be the square root of 5. Square means 2, therefore I don't need to write the 2. You may if you want to. Then the other one is going to be the 4th root of 5, and the other one, of course, you guess is going to be the 7th root of 2. Very good. Now, how does this look algebraically? Here we go. If b is greater than 1 and n is an integer, a whole number, where n is greater or equal to 2, then this is what we do. b, if I raise to 1n, remember n can be any integer, it means that the n now becomes the root of b. And then you could do 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. You understand? Always pause the video. Now let's use an example for b raised to 1n, okay? Here's one example I'm going to do with you. Okay, simplify each expression. So I have now 343 raised to 1/3. Now remember, I want to write it as a radical. And what do I do then? The 3 becomes the root of the 343. So I'm going to ask myself, what is the cube root of 343? In other words, what does that mean? It means what number multiplied by itself 3 times would give me 343? of course, you guess it. 7 times 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49, times 7 is 343. I hope you got that one. Now, let's do the second one. Now, here I have two of them, but I'm adding them, so it doesn't really make a big difference. So the first one is 32 raised to 1/5 plus 9 raised to 1/2. Now, when I write it in a radical form, this is what I get. The 5th root of 32 plus, of course, we didn't write the 2, but it's called the square root of 9. Now, the cube root of 32, as you know, is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3, and when I add them, I get 5. Clear? I hope so. Now, you try this on your own. I am going to be quiet. Stop the video. Thank you. So you said the 4th root of 81, right? The 4th root of 81 is 3. I hope you got that. All right. How about you try this one now? Okay. So for letter B, it says 121 is raised to 1/2, and it's added to 256 raised to 1/4. Now, when I write in square root form, it's going to be the square root of 121. This time I wrote the 2, and then the 4th root of 256. You all know what multiplied by itself twice gives you 121 is 11, and the other one is going to be 4. It means a number multiplied by itself 4 times. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, and the answer is 15 altogether. Very good. Moving on. A fractional exponent can have a numerator other than 1. So far we saw only 1/2, 1/3, 1/5, 1/6. Suppose now the 1 now becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. That's what it says right now. So here we go. Instead of me writing it as b raised to 2/3, suppose I write b raised to 1/3 times 2. It's the same thing, isn't it? And we know by now what's b is. Let's forget the 2 for now. We know what's b raised to 1/3 means, right? So it's going to be the cube root of 3. I mean the cube root of b. And then you square that because that's what it's saying. All right? Same thing. So here we go. So we all know how to do this one, right? Then now this is only in letter form. Did you understand that? I hope so. Now, let's look now the definition of this one, the same thing, b raised to m over n. Now, here's what the definition says. A number raised to a power of m over n is equal to the nth root, remember like square root, of the number raised to the power of m, or the mth power. So, here's an example I chose. 8 raised to 2/3. Now, we don't have 1/3, we have 2/3. So, how do we do this? Now, follow me with this animation, okay? So, first of all, I have to write the radical side. Now, what do you think is going to go inside the radical? The 8. And what will be the root of this radical? Remember, the root is the denominator. And then I encompass that in the parentheses, and I put the 2 outside. So far, so good? So now what you're asking yourself is, what is the cube root of 3 squared? That's what you are saying. All right? That means the cube root of 8 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. We got that, right? Now, in other words, how else can I do it? Here's the definition for it. And here's another way of doing it. Instead of writing the parentheses, I actually put the 8 and the 2 in the radical. And then, of course, you're going to know 64. What's the cube root of 64 means what gives you 64 multiplied? No, what number multiplied by itself 3 times gives you 64? That's what it says. Good. Now, example 2. Here's an example. This is, I'm going to run this very easily. Remember, it's going to be the 4th root of 81 raised to 5. Okay? And then this is the answer. Then B, the same thing. What is the 5th root of 3,125 raised to or squared? Of course, this is the answer. You try this one. Did we try this one? Yes, I think so. We tried this one. All right. Sorry about my confusion. Simplify its expression now. You do this on your own. Okay. So what are you asking yourself? What is the cube root of 27 to the fourth power, right? Is that what he said? Okay, so the cube root of 27 means a number multiplied by itself 3 times is 3, and then you raise that to 4, which will give you 81. Very good. I'm glad you hope you're getting it. Now, let's try this application together. Given a cube with a surface area of S, the volume V, the cube can be found by using the formula. Now, this is very straightforward. They gave us the formula itself. Find the volume of a cube with a surface area S, 54, right? So if I put, instead of S, I'm going to put what? 54. So I'm asking myself, what is 54 divided by 6? Of course, that will give me 9. Now, the next thing I'm going to ask is, what's the square root of 9 cubed? The square root of 9 cubed. The square root of 9 is 3. Cubed means 27. Got it? Okay, you do this on your own. Okay, I hope you paused it. Here we go. If this is not clear, please shoot me an email, and I will be more than happy to help you out, or in class when you come back. So 119. Now, here is something that you can pause the video and copy if you want. It's just a few things. Now, when n is even, you must simplify the nth root of x to the n, to the absolute value. It means n has to be positive, right? That's what it says. This one also you can copy if you want. Then we can discuss it in class if you have. Now, let's look at example number 4. Simplify all area represents non-negative numbers. So this means we are going to ask, what's the cube root of the cube root of a to the 4th, b to the 20th, okay? How do we do this one? All right, so if we write it as a fractional exponent, power to power rule tells me multiply 4 times 1/4 and 20 times 1/4. Of course, the answer is going to be what? You guessed it. A to the 5th, A and B to the 5th. Just follow it. It's very, very simple if you look carefully. There is nothing complicated. You are multiplying everything by. Okay. Here's another example. Now remember, y cubed, if y, the square root of y squared is going to be y. Okay. Now, if I multiply then everything by 1/2, it means half of 6, half of 4. And this is what I get. I'm trying to keep my video under 15 minutes, and here's my answer. Now, your turn. Pause the video, please. Thank you. All right, so this is the 4th root. So if you write as a fractional exponent, 1/4 is going to multiply 4 and 12. All right? Then that will be 1, and that will be 3, right? And that's the answer. How about you try this one? You have less than a minute. Thank you. Now remember, the bottom one is going to be just that, because it cancels itself, x, and then the rest is going to multiply by 1/2, and here's your answer.